me talking before that a diabetes specialist was really pivotal in terms of you taking a look at your priorities and readjusting those priorities. What did they say to you? What did they do? And did you listen straight away? Did you take a bit of time to take their advice? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So again, and I, even though at a certain point, I went away for college, for undergraduate, um, and then lived in Texas at one point, but I was always in one way or another connected with Jocelyn Diabetes. And they have, I mean, outstanding doctors and support staff. But when you're in that moment of burnout or rebellion or whatever you want to call it, uh, you know, you don't want to, especially if they've been supportive, you don't want to show up and disappoint them. If you feel any kind of sense of judgment, uh, you're gonna just run in the opposite direction. At least I did, and I know others who would. And so I did have, when I was a teenager and then going through college, I did have a particular specialist, and she was a bit judgmental. Um, but as we talked previously, I had been BSing my blood sugar logs like crazy, and she knew it. And she knew it. So if I'm thinking back to when I was a lawyer and I had a criminal defendant come to me, and many of them, especially in the beginning when they don't know if they can trust me or not, they're going to lie or not tell me the full truth about what's going on. And it ends up hurting them in the end because I can't help prepare them in the best way if I don't know what's really going on with them. So there were many a time, especially when the two of us, I can look in their eyes and know that they know that I know that they're lying. Like the both of us, we both know that you're lying to me. I just want to yell at them, cut the BS, to paraphrase Cuba Gooding Jr., help me help you. So just tell me the real information so I can give you better advice. So I don't necessarily fault her, although I do think she was a bit too cold and judgmental about it. But the one that really helped me was years later, and I was in my private practice and I was just ignoring her. I was putting off appointments, and when you make an appointment with her, she's always like, booked up for a few months. And so I would wait until maybe 3 days before the appointment and say, oh, I've got this case, I've got this trial, I can't make it, I need to reschedule. And so I would never actually be speaking with her, I'd be speaking with the front desk, and they would reschedule, and it'd be 3 6 months out. And I would think to myself, I would say, okay, now you're going to crack down, you're going to eat better, you're going to, really check your blood sugars, really give yourself the amount of insulin you need. Inevitably, I wouldn't. And then it'd get closer to the appointment, and I realize, 3 months looking back, my A1C is not going to be good. And so I'd keep repeating it. So that doctor, she sent me a letter and was like, look, I ethically cannot refill your insulin prescription unless I see you in person. It was kind of like a final ultimatum. No, intervention time. I need to see you. So she said, if you don't make this next appointment, that's it. So I showed up, and I think at that point, my A1C was well over 13%. So I know that that was not my highest ever, but she wasn't judgmental about it. She was just like, okay, what's going on? Who in your immediate social support circle can help you with this? Bring them with you. At that time, my first husband really wasn't involved in that part of my life. So I was just like, oh yeah, yeah, I'll bring someone to the next appointment. Yeah, no problem. And I never did. Um, but I did start, the process of getting it under better control. And she made it not only okay to not have to go from 13 something to under 7. She said, don't, because it's dangerous. If you do that too quickly, you could have a heart attack, you could have this, you could have that. So you want to make sure, like, let's work together. We'll do this gradually. So I think her compassion, her lack of judgment, and her just kind of being that tough love for me. And even though she didn't push it to say, no, no, we need to, obviously I was an adult. She couldn't call my mommy, but I know she would if she could. Um, to be like, no, we really need to get someone in here who can help you out in your daily life. She made it, that was the turning point for me.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like what you said resonates a lot. It's that fear that you've built up in your mind of going to engage with a healthcare professional, the fear of judgment based on you're not doing what you need to do. They know that you're not doing what you need to do, and you don't want to have that judgmental conversation at that moment in time. It's You just want somebody to say, look, it's okay, let's work together, how can we do it? And also set realistic targets as well, and be just open and honest about where you are. And I think when I was listening to you talk, one thing that came into my mind is that yes, diabetes is brutal. It is brutal. I also think at the same time, we're all one decision away from turning things around. It doesn't mean that we can't undo the damage that we've potentially done in the past, but we're all one decision away from improving where we are.